America, I'm sorry to say, is turning into a joke. The kind of sick joke, actually, that would only make China's leaders laugh. But before I go on, let me put you the context here. Watch this interview with a homeless guy in San Francisco who just sold drugs to a 15-year-old. Here is talking to author Michael Schellenberger.
Where are you from?
Louisiana, Texas area.
How long have you been in San Francisco?
Since June. If you're gonna be homeless, it's pretty fucking easy here. I mean, if we're gonna be realistic, they pay you to be homeless here.
When you said that San Francisco pays people to be homeless, what did you mean by that? Did you mean that literally?
Yeah. I mean, I get $620 a month, dude.
From general assistance,
yeah.
Or how was that hard to get?
Fucking phone call, bro.
Wow.
Fucking phone call. 200 food stamps and $620 cash a month.
Wow.
Forget about it. Why wouldn't I do it? You know, it's fucking free money, dude.
Yeah.
This right now is literally by choice. Literally by choice. Like, why would I want to pay rent? I'm not doing shit. I got a cell phone that I have Amazon Prime and Netflix on.
Is there a more pathetic example of America's social decline? Not just that here's some homeless guy camping out in the streets of one of America's richest cities, but that the left-wing city bosses are actually paying him so much to sit on his backside that he actually came over from Texas to get the handout. So he can then lay back, binge watching some streaming service, while the few remaining suckers who believe in hard work go out, do their 9-to-5 jobs. They hand him over their taxes. Now, I get it, every society has their slackers, but this is a fish that rots from the head. Take the last few days. Breaking news. Joe Biden's administration was actually going to hand out free crack pipes as part of its $30 million plan to make things safer for crackheads, and also, we're told, to fix racial inequality. Now, this idea was so bizarre and so stupid that Joe Biden's mouthpiece, the one that's often trying to clean up his mess, almost like instinctively insisted it must be fake news.
They were never part of the kit. It was inaccurate reporting.
Well, I'm afraid to tell you the fake news is that this was fake news. And I know that Snopes fact-checked it and said this claim about free crack pipes was false, but at the same time Snopes admitted, well, sorry, actually it was true. Now, how they did that backward somersault and how the White House spokeswoman sort of, tried to claim that black was white, it was by saying, well, look, free crack pipes might have been the plan, might have been what the scheme actually said it was going to do, but these pipes were never actually handed out. And no wonder. The White House killed it when the story got out and made it look absolutely pathetic, like some homeless guy in San Francisco getting paid to watch YouTube clips. Note, by the way, how Snopes, another outlet of the left, covered up here for these lies. We're getting a lot of that from social media outlets and left-wing outlets as well. But as I said, it's China that's laughing here. Their leaders have watched all this. They've watched it for a long time. In fact, they even predicted this decline, this rot. Why don't you have a look at this guy standing behind the Chinese dictator, Xi Jinping. That man is Wang Huning. He's rarely seen, and then usually when he is seen, it's somewhere in the background, in the shadows. Yet he is probably the most influential thinker in China, and for us, one of the most dangerous. See, Wang Huning is one of only 7 members of China's Politburo, the top ruling body, but is the one person there that hasn't actually run a province or big department, and that's because he's there as the thinker. He was one of China's youngest ever professors, and in his 30s he got a scholarship to go work in America for a while. And he wandered around the place, eventually wrote a book on what he saw, calling it America Against America. And if you want to understand why China's now thinking it could win a war against America, if you're wondering why it keeps saying, look, America's in decline, we're taking over, like it did again last week with that joint statement that it put out with Russia. Well, this book will tell you. And that's because Wang looked at America's drug problem. He looked at its race tensions. He looked at the gap between rich and poor, the hyper-individualism, the weakening of even the family unit, the growing nihilism of young Americans growing up ignorant of traditional Western values and instinctively having contempt for them anyway. In fact, he looked at the whole damn project of the American left. And Wang Huning said, and you might think, well, his vision's alarmist. You might say, well, of course he'd say that, he's a communist, whatever. But the thing is, he said this crisis in the United States would only get worse. America was falling apart, and 30 years later, it's hard to disagree with a word he said when you look at the United States of Joe Biden and his Democrats. Now, I know that China's alternative now sounds extreme, and you have to wonder if it's going to work. President Xi Jinping has gone 180 degrees from what he and his Politburo mate see in the United States. He has ordered a new cultural revolution. Xi Jinping, the dictator, has cracked down on anyone he reckons is too individualist. Film stars, pop stars, tycoons like Jack Ma, anyone seeming to get too full of themselves, too out there, too individualistic, have been taken out of circulation, some wiped off the internet. Now, Xi Jinping is promoting pride in China, nationalism, and has meanwhile banned what his mouthpieces describe as sissy idols and effeminate men from the entertainment industry. Now, be clear, I am not endorsing what he's doing at all. I'm simply describing it. And he's banned any actors with a history of taking drugs or of using prostitutes. Their careers are over. You got to ask how much of Hollywood would be left if drug-taking actors were banned there too. Like I say, I'm not recommending that the West now do what China does. But how horrified must China's leaders be by what they now see in the United States, that they think this extreme reaction is now needed for them to escape the same fate?